Mr. Petrucelli?
Joe Petrucelli, 62. I was talking to some of the members of the Edison Soccer. There's the facility over at, that's been developed. Apparently the grass is now 6 feet tall, and the grass is not growing on the soccer fields. They had a problem with some of the plumbing facilities, so they're kind of looking for guidance. I know they've been trying to contact, Jeff, Mr. Medina, so if you could look into that, Mr. Kanko, for the soccer league, and because the facility's all overgrown and stuff. So somebody's got, my understanding, it hasn't been completely turned over to them, because I know they're looking for that so they can start to clean up those processes, so they can get the thing moving so the kids can play soccer there. Mr. Kanko, so you understand everybody that works in the township then, right? Is that what when you said that before? So you're responsible for the ultimate person that works for the township?
I think the question was hiring, not ultimate responsibility.
No, I mean, ultimately, at the end of the day, you're involved at the last minute before they come on board. But you would know who came on board, I would say. And who's working for the town?
In most cases, yes.
Did any council members, family member ever work in the mayor's office that you know of? Or for pay or not for pay?
Any council members?
Family member work in the mayor's office, whether it be paid or not paid?
We've had interns in the office, yes.
A council person's intern?
Probably at the point before she was a councilwoman, yes. And Mr. Petrucelli, tell me a little bit about that. How do you feel about that?
Concerned, because whenever a family member is close to the administration, that's a governing body. In my mind, that subjectivity could be imbued. I mean, I have to go through all kinds of disclosures, and Mr. Harding will tell you too, when we take cases or we're involved in cases, we have to conflict out if there's certain conflict, especially anything that would involve family members.
So somebody stuffing envelopes or taking notes or putting scotch tapes on envelopes or
during election period time, maybe.
or
During
paper clips.
when people are running for office.
You
possibly.
would be afraid of that being a conflict.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, I disagree with you.
Well, that's just an opinion. I'm just asking the question.
Well, I answered it.
Why
You and I
That's your
disagree.
opinion. You're entitled to your opinion. I have no problem with your
Thank you.
Council
I'm sorry,
President,
ma'am?
why is he allowed to challenge a resident? Mr.
Council
Petrucelli
President,
asked
Councilman, I have
The
no
reason I'm
problem.
doing that, I think the question's pretty close to being ridiculous, and we know why Mr. Petrucelli is doing this. It's not for the good of Edison. It's just to challenge whether or not a council person's child worked in the mayor's office.
And
And
let
that's
me
why.
ask you a question. As a professional that's out in the real world, you don't think I have the right that I'm challenged constantly on my ethics and conflicting out of situation? You think that's a stupid question? I take offense to that.
I think-
I don't think any question is stupid. I think you have your opinion, and I have my opinion.
Right,
And I have a right to express my
And I
opinion.
gave you my opinion.
Well, you just called me stupid, basically.
No, I said near ridiculous.
I don't. If I did that, you guys would all be mad at me and throw me out like this wall.
You know, Joe,
So-
we know exactly why you're doing this. So.
You know why I'm doing it? I'm glad
yeah,
you know.
You know and I know. I mean, you don't think it's obvious?
No, I didn't think it was obvious.
Oh, okay.
I asked the question.
Right.
Made me lose my train of thoughts. On public television, with the cable, cable's a public utility, right? Let's say Mr. Stevens had the Edison Community Association, which provided a lot of useful information to the public. It really wasn't a forum that didn't allow people to. Wouldn't they be allowed to gain access? Because I see things aired on there all the time that are non-Edison related. Why wouldn't community access be given to the residents or people that would want to express an issue? I'm confused. It's a public utility. Jim, could you shed any light on that? How would a taxpayer, let's say there's a community association that wants the right to use the public utility for putting out community information. Do they have a vehicle as taxpayers, to utilize, to ask to have a right to use that public station?
Well, I think they have a right if they want to submit something in to be considered, and, it's not up to the individual cable company. The township does have specific channels within it they put on community-based programs, and I think it would be something they would have to review to make a determination as to whether or not it was appropriate for the community.
Okay, so is there guidelines that, let's say, so that's like saying, we're being censored. Let's say shouldn't there be like a guideline that says, well, if taxpayers or a community association wants to present an issue, that's for informational purposes, and take the objectivity out, that you basically, if you're saying it's completely up to the communications director or the administration, people could be censored at that point, and you're taking away the right to have the community utilize it, because, I mean, ultimately, the community's paying for it.
I'm not aware of any guidelines. I could look into it if the
I mean,
council would
I
like
would
me to
ask
look
the
into
council,
it.
maybe there could be some guidelines set up that you have a lot of things that go on in the town. I mean, tonight, I was involved in a nonprofit, that outreaches to young children with cancer and blood diseases. And those people could have a vehicle to let people know, and outreach to people, because, I mean, I learned today a 5-year-old child had brain cancer, somebody that was close to me. So there are these outreaches, so there should be some vehicles for people to understand what they can and put on their TV station, especially if you're going to allow these other outside things to come in. I think you have to start opening the government up and letting the people feel like they're involved in their government, and even if it's issues that you don't agree with, because there's always going to be two sides to the equation.